Welcome to TTIOT, the show that proves anyone can have opinions. Today, we're stepping into a part of history that rarely gets mentioned, a chapter that challenges assumptions, complicates the narrative, and forces us to look a lot deeper. We're talking about slavery, but not the simplified version most of us were taught. Because the truth is this: throughout history, there were Black individuals who were also slave owners. It may sound shocking, maybe even offensive, but today we're unpacking the uncomfortable truth, the messy context, and the human motivations that textbooks like to leave out. Let's get this circus started.
You know, history is rarely as simple as it seems on the surface.
That's definitely true.
Sometimes the deepest insights come from looking at these overlooked corners, right?
Exactly. Those areas that don't quite fit the main narrative we usually hear.
And that's really where we're headed today. It's a challenging topic, I think.
It really is.
Right.
Because these stories, they often push back against what many of us learned or maybe didn't learn in school.
Absolutely. So today, this deep dive is exploring something complex, often surprising, and frankly, frequently misunderstood about American history.
We're talking about free Black individuals who owned enslaved people.
Yeah, and we've pulled together a stack of fascinating sources for this one, including some excerpts from a book titled Black Slave Owners in American History.
And our goal here really is to unpack these historical realities, to try and understand the different contexts, the motivations maybe.
Without judgment, though.
Without judgment. Just presenting the facts as the sources lay them out. We're going to meet several notable people and look at their unique stories.
And for you listening in, think of this as a chance to get a more maybe nuanced view, a fuller understanding of slavery itself and just how complex the social dynamics were in pre-Civil War America.
Yeah, offering insights that definitely go beyond the sort of standard textbook narrative.
Okay, so let's get into it.
Right. So first, just to set the context, it's crucial, absolutely crucial to remember the vast majority of enslaved people were held by white individuals. That's the overwhelming reality.
Of course.
But that being said, some free Black individuals did also own slaves, mostly in the southern states before the Civil War.
And knowing that fact, even if it feels jarring, it adds layers, doesn't it, to our understanding?
It does. It's part of the historical record we need to grapple with.
So our first case study takes us way back, early colonial America. Anthony Johnson.
Yes, Anthony Johnson, an African man who turns up in Virginia, early 17th century.
And his story is incredible because he becomes one of the first recorded Black landowners in the colonies.
Yeah, his journey is pretty extraordinary. He likely came from Angola, arrived around 1621, probably initially as an indentured servant.
Meaning he had to work off a debt or his passage.
Exactly, worked for a set time. But somehow he gains his freedom. And by 1651, which is pretty remarkable, he owns 250 acres of land. And the records show he had several indentured servants and also enslaved people working for him.
Wow. Okay. And what really stands out about him, according to the sources anyway, is his success in court.
Yes, his legal maneuvering. He actually successfully fought for his rights in court, which, I mean, for a Black man at that time,
Almost unheard of, right?
incredibly rare. There's our famous case where he sued for the return of a runaway servant.
And he won.
He won the case, yeah.
So what does his story tell us then, this early on?
Well, it really illuminates how complex things were even then. Race wasn't the only factor determining status. Not yet, not entirely. His story shows this brief, maybe contradictory moment where wealth and knowing how to work the legal system could, for some Black individuals, kind of cut across the emerging racial lines.
A sort of window before things solidified, maybe?
Perhaps. It's definitely complex.
Okay, let's jump forward quite a bit now. Leaving the 1600s for the 19th century, William Ellison in South Carolina. A very different story.
Very different, yes. Ellison was a free Black man who became, well, one of the wealthiest African-American slave owners.
Yeah.
He was a successful cotton gin maker, had a plantation.
And his background, he wasn't born free, was he?
No, he was born into slavery, gained his freedom in 1816, started out as a skilled tradesman, a gin maker.
And built up considerable wealth?
Considerable is putting it mildly. By the time he died, the sources say he owned over 60 enslaved people.
60.
60. And his estate was worth maybe $100,000. That made him one of the wealthiest men in the whole state, white or Black.
That's staggering. But, okay, the sources also highlight something uncomfortable here. his status as a slave owner, but within the free Black community.
Right. And he was influential, too, involved in local politics, civic groups.
So how do we make sense of that? A wealthy, influential, free Black man owning dozens of other Black people.
That's exactly the controversy the sources point to. Ellison's life really forces you to confront these uncomfortable realities. For some free Black individuals, it seems economic survival, upward mobility, even building immense wealth
Was tied into the system itself.
paradoxically, yes. It was tied into participating in the very institution that oppressed Black people generally.
Yeah.
It just shows the kind of brutal compromises the system forced on people. The available choices were shaped by the system itself, no matter how, well, unpalatable they seem to us now.
It's hard to wrap your head around. Okay, let's shift geography again. New England now. Paul Cuff.
Paul Cuff. Prominent Black businessman, philanthropist too. Known mostly for shipping business, but also for advocating African colonization.
So tell us about him. He was born free.
Yes, born in Massachusetts. His father was a free Black man. His mother was Native American from the Wampanoag tribe. And he became a very successful shipbuilder, merchant.
And this idea of resettling free Black Americans in Africa, he was a major proponent.
He was. He strongly believed it was a path to greater freedom and autonomy, and he actually financed voyages himself to Sierra Leone.
Okay, but here's the nuance with Cuffa, according to the sources. His relationship with slavery wasn't always opposed to it.
That's right. The sources indicate that early in his life, he did own slaves. But, and this is the crucial part, he later freed them. And then he really focused his energy on supporting free Black communities and the colonization effort.
So an evolution in his thinking, maybe.
Exactly. His life really shows the tensions within the Black community itself about slavery and freedom. You see individuals like Cuff whose views and actions changed over time, perhaps reflecting a deepening moral conviction or changing circumstances. It shows that kind of internal debate and development.
Okay, another really compelling and maybe complex figure is Madison Washington.
Yes, Madison Washington. His story is, well, it's dramatic. He started out enslaved.
Became known for trying to escape.
Yes, multiple attempts. He escaped in the early 1800s, was recaptured, but eventually managed to buy his own freedom.
Okay, so he achieved freedom, but then comes the twist the sources talk about.
The twist is that after gaining his freedom, he actually purchased enslaved individuals himself.
Yeah.
And ran a successful business using their labor.
Right. That's unexpected, given his own background. But that's not even the most famous part of his story, is it?
No. His most famous act, the thing that really cemented his legacy, was leading the revolt on the slave ship, the Creole.
Tell us about that.
It was a ship transporting enslaved people. Washington, who was being transported after another attempt to free his wife, organized a rebellion on board. They took control of the ship and sailed it to the British Bahamas, where slavery was illegal.
And how many people were freed?
128 enslaved individuals gained their freedom because of that revolt. It was a huge incident. It caused a major diplomatic row between the U.S. and Britain.
Incredible bravery, incredible defiance. So his story, purchasing slaves, then leading this massive liberation effort.
It just embodies the complexity, doesn't it? It reflects that broader struggle for freedom and rights in the antebellum period. You see this extraordinary agency where someone could navigate the system, even participate in aspects of it, like slave ownership, perhaps, for business or family reasons. We don't always know the full motivation. And then also strike such a powerful blow against it. It defies easy labels.
Definitely. Okay, one more case study. Francis J. Lemoyne.
Francis Lemoyne, yes. A free Black man from Pennsylvania. Another businessman, another slave owner. And his life adds yet another layer of complexity to this picture in the 19th century.
So he was born free in Pennsylvania.
Yes, born free. Worked as a businessman in Pittsburgh. And the sources confirm he owned several enslaved people. They worked in his home and also in his businesses.
Okay, so similar in some ways to Ellison, perhaps, in terms of being a free Black man owning slaves for economic reasons. But what's the striking contradiction with Lemoyne?
The really striking thing, which the sources emphasize, is that despite being a slave owner, Lemoyne was also involved in abolitionist movements.
Wait, involved in movements to end slavery while owning slaves himself?
Exactly. That's the profound contradiction. It creates this incredibly complex legacy. How do you square those two things?
I mean, how do we make sense of that?
It's difficult. Lemoyne's life just vividly illustrates the kind of tightrope some free Blacks might have walked, operating within a system that defined wealth and status partly through slave ownership, while perhaps simultaneously holding genuine beliefs about the injustice of slavery itself.
Maybe seeing it as a necessary evil for stability or trying to influence things from within. It's hard to say.
It forces us to think about the immense pressures, the limited choices, the ways people might have rationalized their actions or navigated these conflicting ideals. Did they compartmentalize? Did they see their own slave ownership differently? We often don't have the answers, but the contradiction itself is historically significant.
So we've looked at Johnson, Ellison, Cuff, Washington, Lemoyne, quite a range of experiences. What's the connecting thread here? What does bringing these stories together tell us?
Well, first, it clearly challenges any simplistic, monolithic view of American slavery. It shows this spectrum of roles, motivations, and experiences among Black individuals, both enslaved and free.
It wasn't just one single experience.
Not at all. And if you ask, what does this all mean? I think it shows people navigating just immense social pressures, harsh economic realities, and wrestling with the meaning of freedom itself within a society built on enslavement.
Their choices, whether buying family members to protect them, which sometimes happen.
Right, that's another motivation we sometimes see, buying family out of slavery, though legally they were still property.
Or accumulating wealth like Ellison, or evolving views like Cuff, or fighting back like Washington, or living with contradictions like Lemoyne. It's all part of a much more intricate picture.
Exactly. It paints a picture that's far more complex than we often allow for.
And I guess this raises a really important question for us, for you listening. How did people actually cope? What kinds of strategies, what compromises did they make to survive, maybe even thrive, or find ways to seek liberation within such a deeply, profoundly unjust system?
Yeah. It reminds us that history, especially when you're talking about something as morally fraught as slavery, it's rarely just black and white, if you'll pardon the expression.
No, it forces you to look at the gray areas, the difficult choices.
It pushes us beyond easy categories, beyond simple heroes and villains, and encourages us to understand the full, messy, human experience, even within a system we rightly condemn.
Okay, that feels like a good place to pause and reflect as we wrap up this deep dive.
Mm-hmm.
The core insight really is that this history, looking at Black slave owners, it just reveals these layers of complexity, deep contradictions, and also human agency that often get overlooked.
It's definitely a challenging part of American history, but a necessary one if we want to understand the full scope of it.
So we want to leave you with a thought to mull over, something provocative maybe.
Go for it.
How do the choices and the legacies of these people we've talked about operating within this system of profound injustice, how do they challenge our understanding of what it even meant to be free in pre-Civil War America?
That's a deep question. Because free clearly didn't mean equal or unconstrained.
Not at all. And how do we reconcile their multiple roles, sometimes conflicting roles within that system? Owning people, fighting for freedom, advocating abolition, building wealth?
It's a powerful reminder, isn't it? That individual lives and actions can simultaneously reinforce broader societal structures, even unjust ones, while also, sometimes in the very same life, resisting them.
I love it.
And that's it for today's episode. History is rarely simple. People are complicated, and the truth doesn't care who it offends. Thanks for listening, and until next time, stay curious.